Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvisesa Sunyavari Paskicha Deshatarane Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhaiva chapatitanam pavanevyo vaishnavevyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna. So I was just reflecting today on the fact that I'm getting old. And of course, everyone's going to go through this. The body goes through changes, specific changes from boyhood to youth to old age, etc. Time marches on, but we shouldn't be disturbed by that. This is the teachings of Srila Prabhupada and Lord Krishna. We are the changeless self, the inner self, and this is the point of Prabhupada's teachings. The first point is to get us to understand that we're not the body, aham brahmasmi, and that we shouldn't be slaves to the senses, slaves to the body, and make all of our plans around the body. And this, of course, is actually on the level of intelligence, it's beautiful. But we're more than just Gyan as a Hare Krishna movement. Prabhupada wants also that we have Vigyan, or actually applied knowledge. He wants us to come to the platform of spirit soul, or Brahman platform, where there is no bodily identification, or where we don't identify ourselves with the body. Now, this is actually not an easy platform to arrive at, because there's so much affection built up for the body and the products of the body, or people that we know, events, organizations, countries. There's so many attachments, and of course this whole cycle of mundane attachments has been going on for many, many lifetimes. So there's a long history of being attached in the material world. And when we are actually faced with this idea of detachment, it is oftentimes scary for most people to deal with, even devotees. No one wants to be alone. You know, Prabhupada talked about sannyas lifestyle. He said a sannyasi should never think they're alone. And similarly, we're all really sannyasis in the Hare Krishna movement, because we practice renunciation. We live really pretty basically and simply. And so there's always the temptation for non-devotee association, parties, dancing, liquor, bars, sporting events, music concerts, many things to tantalize the senses in order to feel happy. And when we're shifting away from that in the Krishna consciousness effort, there is a period of time where that feels uncomfortable. And during this period of time, this changing period where we're going from the outer to the inner, I've noticed over time that devotees, mostly in the beginning of their career, they leave. And this is due to immaturity and the strong pull of the senses. They leave the shelter of Lord Krishna. Doesn't mean that they left because they're not living in the temple. You don't have to live in the temple to be Krishna conscious. As long as you're chanting your rounds and following the four regulative principles, you're fine. But a lot of devotees stop that effort, not just first generation, but second, third generation. They come to a point and they're not rooted. They haven't rooted themselves at the Lord's lotus feet and the chanting of the holy name. So they become overwhelmed by desire and they leave their sadhana. Now, it's one thing to get caught up in material desire, but continue your sadhana. Now, that is what we expect to happen. That's what is wanted. We're always going to up against these challenges of life, but you go on with your chanting. That's the thing. If you go on with your chanting and you go on with following the regular principles as much as you can, then you in your heart, you know that Krishna is God and that you do want to surrender to him. So your intention is solid. Okay, you're not going to give up on Krishna. That is wanted. Okay, that's the thing that Prabhupada wants the most out of us, that we are rooted firmly in knowing Krishna is God and wanting to surrender and become his associate. When someone leaves and stops chanting, it could be temporary because of the overwhelming material desires could kick in, and it could be temporary. Stop chanting your rounds for a day, a week, a month, or years. But due to circumstances, you come back. And I've seen this happen too, which is really nice. You see devotees who have left the movement, but come back very, very humble. They realize that they got kicked, made a mistake, won't do it again, and become even extra devoted. And that is perfectly fine, because Lord Krishna doesn't see the gap that you are not with him. He sees the time that we spend with him, not the time that we don't spend with him, because he's that type of a God. He's not there judging us. We judge ourselves more than Krishna judges us. What Krishna will judge is the quality of our devotion, because he says, as they surrender to me, I reward accordingly. So if we are doing our bhakti partially, then we're going to get a partial result. If we're doing it more intensely, we'll get a better result. That is normal. Okay, we definitely want to perform our bhakti as intensely as we can, because we're going to get a much better result. But that comes in time. But there are devotees who give up the process completely, and that's very offensive, and that they don't come back. They found a home in the quicksand of the material world, and they've basically lost touch with the spiritual master, with the words of Prabhupada. They might have committed offenses to Vaishnavas and devotees, and they just don't want to chant the holy names. Now, this is a big mistake. There's many things that can happen as a devotee. There's many things that can happen to us. It could be arihautic, ariatmic, aridaivik. Any source of these can be miseries for us. But you never, ever, ever give up the shelter of Krishna or the spiritual master. That's a no-no. You don't do it. You accepted the shelter. You've taken the vrata. You've taken the vow. Don't give up this very, very important shelter. It's really important. No, in other words, when you become a Diksha disciple, you should know in your mind there are going to be difficulties along the way. You're saying to yourself, I'm taking initiation and I'm vowing that despite the difficulties, I will chant every day. I will chant every day. I will chant every day. This is the idea. This is the real meaning behind taking shelter, because it's necessary for us to chant every single day in order to gain that momentum, that forward push toward Lord Krishna. We won't get sufficient sukriti or sufficient purification if we're skipping our sadhana a lot. We really have to be serious about that. Anything else is okay. It's really not that important. What's most important is regular chanting of the holy name. That regular chanting is so powerful that despite anything else that's going on in our life, we will be drawn to Krishna. despite ourselves. If we're constantly chanting the holy names, despite our weakness, our material attraction, our weakness of heart, our bad attitude, anything and everything that is negative cannot prevent us from becoming attracted to Krishna. And once we have chanted sufficiently, this is what Krishna and Prabhupada want from us. You chant regularly and sufficiently. Sufficiently means you put in enough time when you chant. If you do this, we will absolutely be rewarded. Not with money, not with fame necessarily. Really, the reward is spiritual. We will become, our goal will be reached, which is attraction for Krishna. That is the purpose of our chanting. As I've said before, there comes a point, it's like an inflection point. Water boils at a certain temperature. Water will not boil 1 degree less than that temperature. It's consistent. In other words, it doesn't make a difference where you're at in this world, anywhere, it's the same thing. Water can't boil at a lesser degree. It is the boiling point of water, it's called. And once it boils, it turns to steam, it has certain properties occur, certain changes occur. It's called the boiling point. It's like an inflection point. And similarly, with ourself, when we have chanted sufficiently over a period of time, despite ourselves, we will become deeply attracted to Lord Krishna in a way that we've never had before. It's consistent, it's deep, it detaches us from all material attractions, and we become one-pointed, one-minded with our intelligence. There's a general enlightenment from within and a detachment from without. And this enlightenment from within is like turning up the music, where we see things clearly, where we have a vision within us that can clearly see things. That's the meaning of spiritual enlightenment, that we can understand. Our intelligence is radiant. It's not overwhelmed by material desire. Clearly, we can see and understand and appreciate the Shastra, the holy name, that the Lord is the holy name, the benefit of chanting. And this inflection point becomes the change, the incidence of change in our life, where we go from possible devotee, poor devotee, third-class devotee, kind of a devotee, to devotee, devoted, saintly, caring about following, interested in chanting. No one's got to push me to chant, controlling the mind and the senses naturally in favor of things for the Lord. Then our devotional life becomes so pleasant. It's no longer difficult. It's pleasant. We look forward to devotee association, look forward to seeing the deities, look forward to chanting, look forward to honoring prasadam, offering prasadam. We look forward to these things. We look forward to reading Shastra. All of these things, that they weren't of that magnitude or taste previously. Something has changed. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes it as the clearing stage. And so many benefits, real tangible benefits, come with that clearing stage. For instance, we're naturally happy. A happiness that no material person, even up to the demigods in the celestial planets, a happiness that is coveted by the greatest of demigods and saints. It is a lasting, beautifully resonant happiness that comes from practicing bhakti. You can't rush it. You can't buy it with money. It's the time you put in your life to do your sadhana that you are rewarded with this present. Prabhupada describes it as a woman who is pregnant and she can't wait to have the baby. She just can't wait, but she has to wait. The baby has to go through different stages of development before it comes out. And during those 9 months, the woman's going to go through pain. She's taking care of her pregnancy. She has to rest extra, do different things to make sure the baby is in good shape. Similarly, we are not going to achieve the results of our bhakti without going through the steps. We can't jump faster than we are able to. We must go through the steps. And that's why it's important when you meet a devotee who has put in consistently more time than you into his bhakti, who is initiated before you, who has spent many decades chanting and is loyal and has good qualities. He should be respected. You should want to hear from him what he has done. He'll give you knowledge of the path. He'll help you, or she. So we help each other in bhakti. There's no reason why we wouldn't or shouldn't. This is not a competitive situation. We are helping one another. If we don't have that mood of wanting to help one another, we have definitely missed the point. Definitely. We are a family. And how do we help one another? By describing the path and what to expect, by giving association to those who might not have it or want it, not withholding oneself, speaking Krishna Katha to others. That is the key. Chanting with others, speaking Krishna Katha with others, of course, honoring prasad, attending spiritual functions. We do things together. We're sadhus. We work together to create a sadhu sangha. I got off a little bit on a tangent with that, but I thought it was important to mention that. But even when we're alone, if you've gotten your attraction for Krishna, if you gained your attraction for Krishna, you're never alone. In fact, devotees oftentimes relish the quiet moments. They can be introspective. They can chant nicely and relate to the Lord Krishna and have those moments of prosperity and devotion because it requires that. Whereas before, one might feel uncomfortable being alone. I feel lonely. My mind is active. It's giving me a hard time. I need to be around devotees. I'm afraid. I'm fearful. I'm thinking that I'm going to fall into Maya. So that is the beginning. That's the feeling that one may have in the beginning stages. But when you become fixed and you've reached that boiling point of water of your devotion, you now have Krishna with you, close by, and you're now speaking to yourself the opposite way. I need to be in this room by myself. I need to cultivate my thoughts and my desires about Krishna. I need to cry for Krishna. I need to feel unbelievably joyful. I need to dance in a way that I might not do in public. I just need to express myself. So, whereas before you were hesitant to take time for yourself, now you're really relishing. And instead of putting the television on to watch a rom-com or a football game or a quiz show, any of these idiotic things that are in television, that is no longer of interest. You've lost your taste for that. You'd rather sit and read Rupa Goswami. You'd rather sit and read Bhagavad Gita. You'd rather chant to yourself and do extra rounds. You'd rather look at your deities. You'd rather talk to Krishna. This is so much more meaningful to you. So this is the stage we will come to. We will definitely come to this stage if we continue our chanting. There is no question we will come to this stage. And it's important. I love speaking about this because I think devotees need to hear this, because if they don't see others who are reaching a stage of happiness and joy in Krishna consciousness, what will they think? They will not know of it. They need to say, wow, that devotee, he's there. He's fixed in his devotion. My guru is really fixed. Everyone needs to see mentors, how they are in Krishna consciousness. It's not just theoretical, it's real. And not just the guru that you've chosen, but even other Prabhupada disciples and other devotees who are at this stage. It's important to associate with them because it will give you direct samskars, impressions from their speaking, direct impressions of what will happen, what you will experience yourself. If you appreciate this stage of Krishna consciousness that is being described to you in the books and by devotees, then very shortly, Krishna says, you will also be at that stage. And this is what we want for all the devotees in Krishna consciousness. We want everyone to be at this higher level of bhakti, where they are, their minds and their intelligence naturally are thinking of Krishna, are thinking of different stories and leelas and philosophical attitudes, and just naturally thinking of spiritual subject matter. This is wanted. This is very much wanted, where we're excited. We're excited to be devotees of Krishna. And we don't think of ourselves as being old. I started off this video by saying I'm getting older. Doesn't mean I'm feeling older. My body is going through a normal process of aging. My hair is thinning. My body is looking older. I'm not recognizable from when I was younger. Not recognizable. Completely changed. Not just young, but even in my 40s, I'm now 72. Rapidly changing body, but I'm not attached to the body. By Prabhupada's mercy, Krishna's mercy, I'm seeing myself more as Atma, Atman, self, Brahman, particle, consciousness, energetic, or energy, right? I'm seeing myself as the Shastras describe the real me. And the feeling I get is that my body is growing older, but I'm feeling younger. A dichotomy, very important. My body is growing older day by day, and those who are attached to the body feel like they're growing old. Devotees, on the other hand, through their rigid practice of bhakti, they're not attached to the body or identifications of the body. So we feel, literally, because of the mantra and because Lord Krishna is eternally young, youthful, he's captured that space. He has captured the essence of youth, and we are his associates. So really, as we are diving deeper and deeper into the holy name, we too are starting to feel this youthful energy, this Haladini Shakti that is descending into us, is making us feel spiritually youthful, eternally youthful, joyful. It's like we know that when we leave our body, as we're getting older and our body is unable to maybe even chant well or chant clearly, maybe we can't eat well, our body is going into the final stages, we don't feel the effects of the gunas on us, because the soul doesn't have any maya in it. There's no gunas that are actually in the soul. It's only the body. And we, identifying as eternal servants of Lord Krishna, we feel enthused, youthful. We are feeling these elements of devotional ecstasy, which is making us feel young, pure, young, joyful. So these are the qualities that we are attached to, absorbed into by the grace of devotional service and bhakti, only to Lord Krishna. Another very important point is this bhakti is not for any other demigod. This is exclusive. We are only interested in worshiping Lord Krishna. That's very important. We may make many mistakes in life, may do things wrong, interpretations wrong, but the one thing we're doing right is we are only doing bhakti to Lord Krishna. That alone is the greatest victory in our life. We made many mistakes, but this decision was the right one. This is an amazing decision. Maybe due to past pious activity, just maybe the grace of Srila Prabhupada alone, Lord Chaitanya's mercy, devotees' mercy, somehow or other, we are practicing Ananya Bhakti, exclusive devotion to Lord Krishna. Everything is revealed in this bhakti, everything, past, present, future, everything. So we're in a very fortunate position. Let's continue our Krishna consciousness. Let's stay active, excited, interested. Let's continue our purification process. Associate nicely with devotees. Even if we have philosophical differences, they should not be so big that we can't associate with each other. I see devotees become so worked up over different philosophical issues. That is Kanishta, by the way, Kanishta mentality. Madhyam and Uttama devotees, they're happy to get together and chant. They're happy. There are no difficulties on that level. But Kanishta devotees fight a lot. They see differences. Their consciousness is not that high. Their faith is good, but their consciousness is not found yet. Is not in tune or synchronizing with the faith. It will, but when you are acting fanatically, then you are Kanishta Bhakta, and you have not yet. And unfortunately, when you're a Kanishta Bhakta, you do and you can and you do commit offenses, and oftentimes those offenses can dry up your bhakti. That's why being in the Kanishta stage of bhakti is the toughest stage, because of these offenses that are being committed. Typically, you're not going to commit offenses to the holy name because this is Lord Chaitanya's mercy, but you can commit offenses to devotees. So you want to be careful in dealing with devotees. So having said all that, I thank you for listening. I hope this has been inspirational for you. I hope you are nicely performing your Krishna consciousness and taking up nicely your vow to your spiritual master. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.